My name is Dawn Pollard, and I wasn't sure about doing this because I didn't know if I had a story. I didn't know if I was entitled to even tell a story because it didn't happen to me. It happened to somebody else, but it did happen to me. When the HIV epidemic first began, I was afraid, but I didn't think it applied to anybody that I knew. And I thought it was something that was happening just in gay people. And then I learned that there was some information that it was contained in the blood supply. And my brother was a hemophiliac. I began to get scared, and I asked him questions. And then the publicity started about some children with AIDS, and it seemed that all of a sudden it exploded. I had already lost one brother, and my brother had become a father shortly after learning that he was HIV positive. He told me this in a meeting at a Denny's restaurant and told me calmly that if I really loved him with all my heart, which I did, that he would understand that it was his plan to take my father's hunting rifle and put it in his mouth and blow his head off. I was hysterical and didn't react because I knew if I did, he wouldn't share information with me. So I called his doctor, whom I had permission to speak with, and he told me it was a very common reaction among young men who learned about the diagnosis because the death was so horrible at that time. There was a book written called The Screaming Room, which described the terrible, terrible death that was the AIDS death. My brother's wife was pregnant, and she was advised by 7 different physicians to terminate the pregnancy, and she refused to do that, even though my brother wanted her to do it because he was afraid that the outcome would be deadly. When his daughter was born and she was healthy, he came to me and my husband and asked us if we would co-raise his daughter with him because there was every reason to believe that they would both die in a short period of time from AIDS, and that he wanted Haley, Dawn, to be bonded to me so that she wouldn't be alone in the world. And his wife never did contract AIDS, and I worried every single day about my brother. And then we heard that there was going to be a clinical trial for a new AIDS cocktail, and my brother got into that trial, and his viral loads began to go lower and lower until finally they disappeared. Every single day I lived in sickening fear that the day would come, and he had many problems because of his compromised immune system, and I felt personally responsible to keep him alive and save his family. And all around us, everybody was dying. Every kid he ever went to camp to, adults, everyone, and Kurt was still standing. His daughter is now 27 years old, thinking about having a family, happily married to a beautiful woman, and I'm going to take her to the treatment center. My brother passed away 6 years ago, and the cause of death was death related to complications from hemophilia. So he did not die from AIDS, but AIDS was one of the medications that he took among many from all of the things that he got from the contaminated blood supply, Hep B, Hep C, CJ, otherwise known as Mad Cow. And finally, at 49 years old, his worn out body just couldn't do it anymore, and he died. And it was over for him, but now I know that we all lived through that, and that it's so important that we never let people forget what AIDS did to every human being in the world affected by it, but to the hemophilia community. It took all of our people. It took our institutional memory. It took our heroes. It took our mentors. And I love my brother, and I love his daughter. All I can do is testify so that we can be sure that this never happens again. I love you, Curdy.